I talked to 3 multimillionaires in the last month, and here's what I learned that I'm going to use to make $50 million in the next 30 days. No, I'm just kidding. But I did learn a few things that I think could be helpful to you. So here are the main takeaways that I had. The first one was the Smog King, Rian Nazari. He is the Smog King, and this is what he goes by because he owns smog shops in California, and the amount of money that this guy's making from smog shops honestly completely blew my mind, and I didn't know that this was even a possible thing to do. And here's what he does, and here's the basics of what you can do. Now, it's in California, which is a huge caveat to this because the California mandates smog testing, which most heavily populated cities do, but California charges an especially high amount. So what the Smog King does is he finds gas stations that have unused garage space. And what he'll do is he'll say, hey, what if I pay you every single month to lease your garage space for you, and you're not using it anyway, so it's just going to be extra money, and then I'll run a smog shop business on there, and I'll use that to run my operations out of. And obviously, because it's just garage storage space, of course, what business wouldn't want to take an extra $2,000 a month? And then what he does is he goes on a website where I guess you can buy smog testing equipment. He creates an LLC, he gets it checked out by the state, and then bam, just like that on autopilot, he's making per smog shop, he's making what is it? There's I think it was about $15,000 of gross income, and he's taking home 7,000 of that net. So, I mean, insane numbers, and it basically no work. He showed me the app on his phone. He's got a little thing where you can see how much money came in and how much money he spent. He's got one employee. And so now he has 20 of these different smog shops, which has basically turned into $3 million a year on autopilot. So we talked about the specifics of how he was able to set up as many of these as he could in that area, and the strategy, like kind of the process of finding a good one versus a bad one. And he refined it to the point where he's got about 20 of these things now, and he makes $3 million a year. I asked him what his day-to-day was. At this point, he's mostly just creating content on YouTube and traveling around and hanging out. And now he teaches people to make smog shops as well. But was only a couple hours of his day from what I talked to him about. So it's an insane concept and it seems very simple, but it is specific to the California state because that's where the price is going to be the highest, and it's mandated every 6 years. You got to get one of these smog checks done. So definitely something to think about. Maybe there's other states that require smog checks that have a similar price, but he's definitely carved out his own little niche that can be obviously very profitable. The next guy I talked to was Justin Cambra. And he is a real estate investor out of the Pacific Northwest who worked at Amazon. He had an income of about $200,000 a year, and he had a bunch of stock options. So he made quite a bit of money at his W-2, but he really didn't like the life of a W-2. And he felt that there was a need to change it. Now, the biggest takeaway that I found from this is he was able to live so far below his means that he was able to parlay that into buying rental properties. Not only that, he then was able to start a brokerage that was even more profitable for him than his high-level job at Amazon. Meaning, when he was at Amazon, he leveraged his network of high-earning income individuals and created a community of people that were looking to buy real estate because he was, as he was working at Amazon, using the extra income to go buy a rental property, save up, buy a rental property. And he was creating a network of people that were interested in doing that as well while he was at Amazon. Now, this ended up being a huge opportunity for him, probably without knowing it at the time, because he got some mentorship from another investor who said to create that group. So he went and created the group, started networking with these people, was able to buy enough rental properties and earn enough on the side that he thinks he could at least be able to cover his expenses after he left the job. And then from there, he leveraged that community that he built at his W-2 to sell those people houses that are looking to get into rentals like he did. So, bottom line is he ended up making like $300,000 in 1 year just from his brokerage business, and then acquired something like 40 properties and was able to scale it from 0 to like 40 properties in a very short amount of time. And the basics of what he did was he built a community to well below his means and then parlayed that extra income into buying assets. And now he's a multimillionaire. He can travel and do whatever he wants. He's got a successful brokerage business that, coincidentally makes more than his high paying W-2. And it really just opened my eyes about what's possible if, you want to change your situation. You can figure out how to leverage the resources that you have to change your reality. Yeah. Now actually he comes in the school community and talks every single week, and you can ask him questions exactly about how he did it. I'm sure you could send him a deal and he would even buy it from you. So there's a bunch of opportunities inside of the Get Wealth community. And the links can be in the description if you want to check that out. The next guy I talked to was Zach Horath. This guy was really impressive. At 29 years old, he was able to create a huge portfolio. He started out grinding in silence, if you will, on his own in Indiana. Grew up in Indianapolis and went to school and saw people that were renting out their houses to college students for $500 a room. That kind of clicked a light and said, hey, maybe I need to get involved in some real estate. She became a real estate agent, couldn't sell any houses, started leasing houses, and then eventually parlayed that into growing a real estate team and took that money that he was getting from his real estate brokerage business and started buying rentals. And now he's scaled to the point where he has over 700 units of commercial real estate. He's got a portfolio of single family houses of over 100 houses. And he still does a wholesaling and fix and flipping business as well as his brokerage. So he's amassed a very good amount of wealth, especially for being 29 years old. He's got freedom of location, freedom of time. In essence, he's kind of made it, and now more working on finding quality deals and stabilizing his current portfolio. And one of the main takeaways that I got from Zach is that you learn a lot about these different strategies. For example, like owning rental properties, or owning a storage facility, or having a real estate brokerage. All these different things seem like things that you can just build and then they pay you. But that's not always the case. For example, with storage unit properties, you might think initially that's just a box where people put their stuff in, and then it's a passive income, if you will, like owning a rental property. After talking to him, it kind of dawned on me that with most of these things, that's not really the case. It's almost like every single thing you do is like running a whole nother business. When he got into the details of owning the storage unit, it was a very clear picture that it's not just like set it and forget it. He's got to hire people. He's got to be competitive with what the rates are. What are all the other storage companies doing? He's got to figure out how to keep people's stuff in there. So there's marketing there. You got to make sure it's upkeep. So you got to have the bushes are trimmed and the pavement's all nice and the facility is safe. And there's a lot more than just buying the property and then people start paying you forever. I guess the moral of the story is if you want to generate a lot of money, you're going to have to do a lot of work that is not normal. If you want unusual results, you're going to have unusual actions. And rather than just kind of going for this idea of a utopia where you can just buy something and then it pays you forever, and that's not really the thing. I think the best way is to pick one thing, like a smog shop business, like a rental portfolio, like storage units, and become really good at that one thing, and then master that, and that will generate enough money to create wealth. Now, the difference is most people are really good at one thing that is working for somebody else, and they're betting on that as a safety and security where they don't have to take the risk and they can just collect a paycheck. The problem with that is it stops there. With these other things, if you get good at them and you become a master at those things, the more value you add to those things, the better you are as a business owner. The value of the business grows, then your net worth grows, and you can continue to do more and more and more. But the idea of just a passive sipping martinis on the beach in perpetuity, that's kind of a fairy tale in my opinion. But I don't think anybody wants that anyways. So if you're interested in learning more about these different wealth creation strategies, I actually take these people and talk to them for an hour on my podcast. And then they go inside of the community and they do a 30-minute live Q&A where you can ask them questions. You can just network with people because your network really is your net worth. So if that's something you're interested in, the link's in the description. And if you got any sort of value from this video, please hit the subscribe button and hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Still trying to figure this whole thing out, but we'll see you in the next one.